Blood, I've had to address this in the past, and I'm going to address this again. This is some new age American internet nonsense. It is not my job. It is not your job to retire your mum. See, everyone's got this thing the wrong way around. It is the job of the previous generation, i.e. mum and dad, to set up the next generation. It's not the next generation's job to nice and pattern up and retire the previous generation. That don't even make no sense. See, this is how you know your parents have not done well for themselves.
You can't say that.
Is he allowed to say
I'll
that?
say it louder.
I have this conversation a lot with my wife. I have this conversation all the time. And what we specifically talk about is how parents try to put their kids into sports and push those kids so hard into sports to try to make them trained essentially to become professionals so that they can live off of their kids. You see so many times where these young kids, they're 8, 9, 10, 11, they're being trained with what looks like a professional regiment. I don't know for sure, right? I don't know that all of these kids have a professional regiment, but there's so many kids that they start off already, they're pretty young, and they have Facebook pages, Instagram pages, TikToks, where their parents are trying to build a name for them and build notoriety for them and push them to become stars at such a young age. They're already planning for their kids to grow up and retire them. And it's not just in sports and entertainment, right? It's also in school. It is your parents' job to get you to adulthood and make sure that you're a productive member of society. So on one hand, it's like, okay, the parent is doing what's best for the kid. But then I also feel like the parent is doing what's best for the parent. Instead of working hard in their life, they're trying to make the kid work hard, pushing them into sports, being real strict on them about school so that kid can grow up and take care of the parent instead of them just doing the work in their own lifetime. The parents, they don't go to school, don't have a college education. Not saying that a college education is the end all be all. They don't study to get themselves any sort of certifications. They don't start a business. They don't do anything substantial in their lifetime, but they depend on their kid to do the hard work instead of them doing the hard work themselves. I see it a lot. Now, I don't know what the rest of his video is about, so we're going to watch it. We're not going to watch the full thing in 6 minutes, and I don't want to take away from what the content creator has done. I'm going to link down to his page so you guys can go check it out in full and give him the credit for his ideas and the work that he put in. But I did think it was an interesting conversation. And by the way, since you're here, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you have something to say it down in the comments. But we're getting back into this thing.
This is how you know your parents have failed. When you have to pick up the pieces, when you have to pattern them up, when you have to retire them. If your parents was on their purpose, if your parents made something of themselves, then there will be no need for you to retire them. Do you think Jeff Bezos' son has to retire him? No. If you believe in this mentality, yeah, it's my job to retire my mum and that, don't get it twisted. If you become ultra rich, ultra successful, or you win the lottery or whatever, and that, of course. Well, you're going to be living in some massive mansion, driving 2 Lamborghinis and a Ferrari with a pool at the front and a pool at the back, and your mum's still in some council house in North Peckham Estate. Come on, man.
I definitely agree with this point as well. If you're like a decamillionaire, of course, if you're Jeff Bezos, if you've done so well for yourself that retiring your parents is not a burden to you, then absolutely you should do it. And of course, we all aspire to help our parents out. Nobody really wants their parent struggling in their old age. So if you do have the means to retire your parent or help them out or move them in, you absolutely should. I do believe in a multi-generational and cooperative economics type of situation, right? There's no reason for everybody to go out and buy separate houses when you can house multiple family members under one roof, right? You don't have to send your parents to a retirement home. You don't have to go build them a separate home wherever they are. Everybody ideally can live in close proximity, if not under the same roof. But that's only if it's not going to be a financial burden on you. But if your parents have just gone through their life and they're not trying to contribute anything to making sure that they're going to be good, that's an entirely different situation. You got to have some savings, right? You've got to have some, if you have something to put aside, some investing as well. Because life is only getting more and more expensive. So if you're passing a burden of your retirement plan, your death plan, you don't have life insurance, if you're passing that on to your kids, you're setting them up for failure. Like I said, this is a discussion that I've had with my wife, and before they were born, we had already discussed setting aside a investment account for them so that when they turn 18, when they turn 21, they can dig into that trust. I think it's a custodial account. They can dig into that custodial account and they can choose what it is that they want to do to give them a head start in life. I don't know where I'm going to be in 18 to 21 years when they reach that age. But what I do know is I'm starting now and planning for their future so that they don't have to take care of me and they don't have to struggle when they're supposed to be hitting the ground and starting their own lives. We're setting aside something for our next generation instead of waiting until they're adults and being like, yo, make sure you do something that's worthwhile so you can take care of me. We're not doing that. We have our own situation going on, our own type of investments or assets that we're trying to build. And then we have something separate for the kids so they can hit the ground running and they're not trying to take care of us in our old age. I think that's the way it should be.
But it's not your job to retire your mom. So with that mentality, with this logic here, basically what you're saying is, you know, it's all right for you to coast along through life and do nothing and make nothing of yourself. It's all right because your son's going to pick up the pieces. Nah.
It's not okay to sit there and let the next generation be burdened by the irresponsible decisions that you made. Like we said, if you're in a position where you can help your parents, then you absolutely should. You absolutely should help them. Don't leave your mom, your dad, your grandma, don't leave them struggling in a situation where you're chilling on a yacht, you have Lamborghinis, you're living the best life that you absolutely could, going on 3, 4, 5, 6 trips a year, and they're living in the slums. Don't do that. That's not being a good person. I can't co-sign anything like that. But what I will say is you can't be struggling through your life and then accept the burden of somebody else's life as well. You've got to do what you can with what you got. But also the previous generation has to make sure that they're doing some planning up front to make sure that they're taken care of in their old age. Whether that's getting life insurance so that when they pass, they're taken care of. You're not doing a GoFundMe. You're not taking out debt trying to bury them. Whether that's them setting themselves up by putting a portion of their paycheck aside, investing it in a 401k, in their own individual investment account. Something to help your parents when they get up there in age to be able to not become a burden on you. I know that sounds kind of crazy, like, oh, my parents are being a burden to me because they did raise you, but you have your own life. You're going to raise your own kids. You're going to raise the generation after you, and you don't want to be a burden on them. So it's unfair for your parents to also be a burden on you. Those are my thoughts. This guy, he said, your parents shouldn't be a burden on you. It's not your responsibility to take care of your mom or your dad. But if you're in a financial situation where you have the means to do that and it's not going to be a burden on you, then I think you should. Those are my thoughts. If you like the video, subscribe to me back here for the next conversation. And if you have something to say, let the world know. This is the place for discourse. Till next time. Peace. And like I said, I'm going to link his information down in the comment section so you guys can go and check his channel out.